Most bankers aren't ready to help you until after their third cup of coffee. But with Central National Bank's after-hours service, you don't have to wait for the bank lobby to open to get help. You can contact us from 6 to 8:30 in the morning or from 5 to 10 in the evening, and we'll connect you to a real, live, local person who can answer questions and fix problems 7 days a week. Bank different. Bank Central. Central National Bank. Member FDIC.
Bwaaa!
Bwaaa trash fight all through the night, deep in the heart of Texas. The trailer park is nice and dark, deep in the heart of Texas. That drinks his brew and he spits his chew, deep in the heart of Texas. The TV blares, but no one cares, deep in the heart of Texas. Here we go!
Hey there, and welcome to Bwaaa,
Bwaaa.
a King of the Hill rewatch podcast. I am Mike.
And I'm Rusty, and this is, what do we call it?
Fluffed Up Fridays or something.
No, the segment that we started it
Friday
last-
Ain't Right.
No, yeah, that
Boy
ain't right. That ain't right Fridays.
Sure.
There we go. That ain't right.
Have you tried those Filberts yet?
The Filberts. No, I didn't get a chance to try
Okay.
the Filberts
All right.
yet.
It's only been a few minutes.
It's only
so
been a
I
few
don't know.
minutes.
Yeah, if you don't know, we record these back to back. We are sitting here on a rainy Saturday.
Yeah, a
recording
rainy
too.
Saturday in Texas. How
Yeah.
about that, guys?
Remember when it
Rainy
was
in
never going
Texas.
to rain again?
Rainy street.
It was never going to rain again. Yeah, rainy. So I don't know that we'll do this again, but
No, we'll definitely do it again.
we'll see how this turns out. But I had this idea early in the morning that we would look into some King of the Hill fan fiction.
Fan Fiction Friday.
Fan Fiction Friday,
There
sure.
you go.
This is King of the Hill, a Peggy and Luanne episode
Yep.
entitled Back to Back.
Back to back.
This is in 3 acts.
Okay.
Do
Do the acts have names? Is it like
No, it's just-
Act
just
1?
Act 1. Well, this one says Part 1, Hank returns home. It's the way it starts.
Part 1, Hank returns home.
But that's part of Act 1.
Okay.
I'm looking to see who wrote this. Oh, this was written by Mr. Semaj, Semaj, Semaj,
Samaj. We'll go with that.
Semaj, whatever.
Whatever your name is out there.
Thank you, Mr.
We
Semaj.
appreciate
I'm
your
sure you're
fan fiction.
part of a list
Fan
somewhere.
Fiction Fridays.
Okay, so I am gonna read this to you.
Okay.
From this fan fiction entitled "A Peggy and Luanne Episode Back to Back."
He's reading this to me willingly, by the way.
Yep, and yeah, nobody's told me to. And I'm just gonna have you tell me what you think about it as we go.
Okay, let's go for it.
All right.
Act 1.
Act 1, Part 1. Hank returns home. At nighttime, Hank's truck pulls up in front of 123 Rainy Street. Each departing member says goodbye. Bill, goodbye, Hank. Dale, bye. Joseph, catch you later, Bobby. Boomhauer, dang old see ya. That's weird.
I ain't gonna see you.
Hank's truck pulls into the garage, which have you ever seen Hank's truck in the garage?
I don't think I've ever seen
I don't
Hank's
think I
truck in
have
the
either.
garage yet. Not at this point, anyway.
From inside the Hills residence, Peggy puts a dinosaur model under display glass displayed over the living room fireplace. Do they have a fireplace?
I know. Not that I
See,
can
I don't think
remember.
so either. I think
Not that I've thought. Not that I can think
I
of.
think we're already in a different universe here. Peggy says, "Yep, Luanne, I believe I've really outdone myself with this one." Luanne says, "But we worked on this together." Peggy says, Hank and Bobby enter through the back door. Peggy and Luanne go to meet them. Peggy, hugging Hank, says, "Oh, Hank, I'm so glad to see you." Hank half-heartedly pats Peggy on the back. Luanne says, "So how was it?" Bobby, being very excited, says, "It was great. The water was thriving with fish." That's weird.
That is weird.
Thriving with fish. Because I'm kind of picturing this in my head.
Well, I'm picturing the guy that wrote this might not be a first. I think the English isn't his first language.
Could be. It says, and Joseph and I saw foxes, owls, rabbits, raccoons, and even a bear.
Okay, a bear in Arlen.
Yeah, and then he calmly says, and we slept under a blanket of warm blue stars. And then excited again, he says, we thought it would never end. This is nuts. Hank, kind of chuckling, says, okay, Bobby, it's time for your shower.
I've never heard him ever tell Bobby to shower.
Bobby goes off to take a shower, and then Hank says, it's great to see the boys so enthusiastic about nature. Peggy suggestively says, so, Hank, you ready to re-explore nature? That's very sexual.
Yeah, that is very sexual for Peggy.
King of the Hill. Yeah. So Hank says, but we just, and then he thinks and laughs nervously. Oh, I get it. Hank and Peggy go off to their bedroom. Luanne goes to her room. So they basically, in front of Luanne, just said, hey, let's go screw.
Yeah.
And then they just went off, and
ran
Luanne
off.
goes away.
Yeah.
Luanne says, good night, Unca Hank. It's written UNCA. Unca Hank.
Uncle Hank.
Good night, Aunt Peggy. Hank and Peggy. Good night, Luanne. It's just weird.
It is weird.
Right?
It's uncomfortable.
It's odd. Okay, part 2, Luanne's diary. Luanne closes her room door, goes to her dresser, and opens the top drawer. She pulls out a small diary. She goes over to her writing desk, turns on the lamp, and grabs a pencil. Luanne writing in her diary. Dear diary, I've just gone through the weirdest weekend ever. I spent 48 hours stuck with Aunt Peggy. You're probably wondering, the weekend that was supposed to be so perfect went wrong. Okay, I think I'm missing a word there. She turns the page. She says, well, I promised Aunt Peggy I wouldn't tell anyone, but here it goes.
Something. Is this like cringe? Is this like cringe material?
I don't know totally. I mean, already I've cringed a few times.
I have too.
So now we get.
I feel like after we're done with this, somebody's gonna come in here and ask us where we were touched on a doll.
That's right. So a flashback begins. Right. So she's writing in her diary. She's going to tell us all about what being stuck with Aunt Peggy means. Part 3, Hank and Company leaves. Yep. What a great title.
Yeah.
Luanne in the diary says, it all started on Friday morning, the first weekend of summer.
Okay.
Hank finishes loading up the truck with camping supplies. Hank says, come on, fellers, let's get a move on. Bill, Boomhauer, Bobby, Joseph, and Dale walk to the truck with their camping supplies. They are not all fitting in that truck.
Nah, there's no way.
Bobby says, the first weekend of summer vacation. This is going to be the best camping trip ever. Joseph says, yeah, I'm so psyched for this trip. That's not what Joseph would say.
No.
Bobby says, I'm going to get into a staring contest with an owl and a running contest with a rabbit.
A running contest with a rabbit.
Joseph says, I'm going to wrestle a bear. Once he comes across our camping site, he's going down. And then it says, boys quivering eagerly.
Boys quivering eagerly.
Hank says, let's go, boys. There's nature afoot. Everybody boards.
There's nature afoot.
There's nature afoot. Everybody boards the truck.
Okay.
Hank then says, gentlemen, this weekend we will do it all. Hunting, fishing, camping, fires, everything. Yep, we will embrace Mother Nature like the natural-born woodsman we are. Peggy runs out the front door. Peggy says, wait, Hank, don't forget your fishing hat.
Fishing hat.
Hank says, oh, yeah, thanks, Pegleg. And make sure you stay out of trouble this weekend. The Pattersons may be our neighbors, but you should still knock before coming through their front door. Who the hell are the Pattersons?
I don't know.
Okay.
I guess that's like not canon to – I don't think
that is not
we're
canon.
out of the realm of canon, period, at this point.
Wait, what was the 500-pound guy's name?
Hanson? David Hanson?
Yeah, it was
Dave
Hanson, wasn't it? Yeah,
Henson?
Okay. Wasn't
Hanson?
the Pattersons. Okay. And Peggy says, it's not my fault. They're the ones who aren't being neighborly. It's almost like they're afraid of me or something. Hank, chuckling nervously, says, yeah. Peggy says, don't worry. Everything is under control. Hank and Peggy kiss, which, again, that's weird.
It is, anytime they have any kind of interaction like.
Here's one of the weirdest lines you'll hear in this whole thing.
I think this might even be weirder than the phone sex conversation.
It could be. Here's one of the weirdest lines you'll hear in this whole thing, though, right?
Can it get weirder?
She says, goodbye, Hank. Fish the hell out of those trout.
Get out there and fish the hell out of them dang trout. I mean, that'd be like somebody be like, yeah, you go out there and fish those catfish.
I can see Boomhauer saying it, but Peggy saying it just seems awfully weird.
I don't know. It's just weird to say anyway. Be like, your buddy's telling you,
fish the hell out of something.
Hey, buddy, I'm going fishing. And you're like, hey, man, you go fish the hell out of them bass. You fish the hell out of them dang bass fishes.
It's a verb. and it's an action verb, right? To
It's
fish,
something to fish.
I guess. I don't know.
It's a
I didn't
noun.
take English. She says,
I'm taking Japanese.
are you?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
Duolingo.
She says, fish the hell out of that trout. Hank nods acceptingly, pulls the truck out, and takes off. Hank and Peggy wave each other goodbye. Part 4. Connie calls Luanne. I think you're kind of giving up the lead there, right? Right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Phone rings. Luanne answers. Hello, Connie. When the hell does Connie talk to Luanne?
Apparently, in this universe,
She says, "Hey, Luanne, how's it going?" Just like
in
they
this
talk all the time.
alternate Fan Fiction Friday.
Luanne says, "Fine. Bobby and Joseph just left with their dads on the camping trip." Connie says, "Sweet. Hey, if you're not too busy this weekend, maybe we can hang out sometime." That's not a thing.
That doesn't even seem like a thing. No.
Luanne-
Well, that's weird. Yeah, it's weird that they're putting
It is,
Con
right?
and Luanne because they're
She's so
the
small.
age difference.
Yeah, huge age
Like
difference.
one's in her late teens, early 20s, and the other
Yeah.
one's like it's 11, 12-year-old.
Luanne
That's a little
says, "I'd love it." It's in all caps.
Yeah,
right? So
I'd
she's
love
screaming.
it.
Connie says, "Great. Just let me know when it's best time for you." This is the most boring conversation I've ever heard between two people in King of the Hill. Connie says, "Great. Just let me know when the best time is for you." Luann says, "Okay. I got work both today and tomorrow afternoon, but I got plenty of time in between." Connie says, "Great. Keep me posted. I got to go. Bye." Luann says, "Bye-bye," and then they both hang up. We just heard a conversation between two people that never talk
Never.
on the phone, and it was
Ever.
the most boring thing I've ever heard.
Weird stuff.
Yeah.
Which fan fiction is not known for not being
Sure.
weird. It's generally
But I mean,
weird and
it's so
cringeworthy
detailed, but in the wrong place.
in the wrong places.
Yeah. It'd be like, oh, mailman walks down the street putting mail in people's boxes.
You
He
mail
puts
the
mail in-
hell out of that
He
mail.
mailed the hell
You
out
mail
of
the
that
hell out of that mail. Yeah, you open that mailbox with the fury of 1,000 gods.
So we get to part 5. Peggy's package arrives. Dun dun dun. This
Peggy's
is
package.
one of the stage directions, for lack of a better term, says close to noon. A UPS
wow.
truck pulls up in front of the Hills residence. The doorbell rings. Peggy, I
Well,
got it.
You know, if you were to reenact this, he puts close to noon.
Yeah.
So when you're acting, he wants the actor to express and convey that it's
Maybe
close
they're
to
almost
lunchtime.
hungry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's close to
Yeah.
lunchtime. They want them to convey the
Little bit of those
urgency of lunch.
Hunger pains,
Yeah.
pangs.
Yeah, that's what it is. They
Ping
want them to. They
pangs.
want them to stand there and
Sure.
and feel hunger.
Right.
It's almost lunchtime.
Peggy says, "I got it," and she walks to the door and opens it. This is riveting stuff so far.
What would a live reading like this look like for us
It
if
would
we
be-
did some like live fan fiction?
it
I
would
think that'd
be
be funny.
Terrible, but it would be great.
Totally
The
great.
delivery man, which I guess is the UPS guy, says, "Package for Peggy Hill." Peggy signs the form and then takes the package. Delivery man leaves. Again, very detailed.
Extremely detailed.
Peggy walks into the living room with her package. Peggy, to herself, "I cannot believe it's finally here." Luanne emerges from her room. Luanne says, "Hey, Aunt Peggy, what's up?" Peggy, with what I can only describe as 2 paragraphs, says, "My entrance into teaching biology is what's up, Doc." Walks over to the couch.
What's up, Doc? That's Peggy.
Yeah. She
Oh,
says-
that's weird.
She walks over to the couch.
Instantly made me feel uncomfortable.
The Tom Landry Middle School biology teacher, Professor Hall, is retiring after many years of service, and Principal Moss has appointed me, Peggy Hill, to be the new biology teacher for
Oh,
grades
that's weird.
5 through 8. Luanne walks over to the
That's
couch.
a weird. That's a weird. This is definitely by somebody that's never been in the Texas school system.
Yes.
5 to 8, it would never be in the same building.
No, they would not. Luanne walks over to the couch. And
You know,
Peggy,
I say that, and I think I was.
well, I know we had a 6th grade center.
We had 6th, 7th,
here.
and 8th.
Yeah.
That's how my son's school is set up. It's
Yeah.
6th, 7th, and 8th in the same building, but 5th
Yeah.
grade is just like right at the cusp.
5th is elementary.
It's a little
here.
too young. Yeah, it's a little too
still
young.
elementary. She says, starting next year, we're going to learn about prehistoric land masters, the dinosaurs. Prehistoric land masters.
Prehistoric land. You know what? I am never calling them dinosaurs ever again. From
Prehistoric
now on,
land
they're
masters.
prehistoric land masters. That is great.
So she says, I have ordered a series of kits from Apex Discovery, and I intend on getting a head start on examining each from their physical structure to their diets.
Oh, wow.
And Luanne, what a better way for a young woman like you to spend the summer than help me, Peggy Hill, with her dinosaurs?
her prehistoric land
This is just so
masters.
weird. Prehistoric land masters. Luanne says, spending time at the beach? Peggy gives her a stern look. Nervously, Luanne says, I mean, gosh, I'd love to help Aunt Peggy.
I'd love to help.
There's
Aunt
no
Peggy.
joke there.
There is no joke.
There's no joke there. All right, part 6.
There's very few jokes anywhere.
Part 6. And again, this is kind of giving away the what's going to happen.
Okay.
It says, part 6, gluing accident.
Oh.
So you're starting to see why it's called back to back.
I see.
Luanne takes a seat on the couch next to Peggy. Peggy opens the package. Peggy, okay, my model today is the Stegosaurus. We just have to follow the simple set of instructions and we will be on Easy Street.
I see what's about to happen here. Yeah.
She begins reading the instructions. First, to be sure to have all the pieces needed. She dumps the bone pieces on the coffee table. Second, make sure you have plenty of modeling glue. Takes the tube of glue out of the box and hands it to Luanne. I have never bought a model where the glue came with it.
No, I've never bought a model where the glue or the paint came with it. Well, they do have the all-in-one sets.
I did plenty
Oh,
of
you did
models when
models?
I was a kid.
I did a few, but my problem was I had attention deficit, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
And I would get halfway through putting it together.
Yeah.
And then it would sit there, and then
Sure.
I would I'd see
Yeah.
a different one I wanted to put together, and
Yeah.
I'd put that about halfway
You have
through.
those
and-
boxes that have half a car in it and
Yeah,
all the
there's-
pieces rattling around it.
yeah, wherever they're at.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
And so she says, yeah, plenty of glue. She takes it out of the box. Now, before we officially begin, I just need to grab a box of Kleenex in case we make a mess of things. You proceed with step 2. Luanne stares at Peggy blankly. Just make sure we have enough glue. Peggy turns around, reaching over the armrest. Luanne opens the tube and looks inside. She tries to shake some out, but nothing comes out. She then shakes harder and finally squeezes the tube. A whole mess squirts out of the tube.
A whole mess.
A whole mess. Peggy, turning around, said, "What was that?" Luanne hides the tube and says nothing.
Nothing.
Peggy turns back around. Luanne frets because a long line of glue is covered over Peggy's back without Peggy's notice.
Oh, wow.
She squirted it so hard, it went all over Peggy's back.
This is weird. Yeah, this is
It
getting
weird. Yeah.
This is getting questionable.
And Peggy turns back to the couch with the Kleenex box and says, "Okay, I got the tissue." Luanne, sudden reaction, "I need some." She accidentally knocks the box out of Peggy's hands. It knocks most of the pile of bones off the table.
Oh, that's creepy.
Peggy then responds, "Luanne, will you please be more careful next time? Now help me clean up this mess."
I'm still stuck on the glue all over her back. Like,
Yeah,
why
it
did
is
it have
weird.
to? Why
I
did the
don't-
writer have to put the
it's
glue on her back?
Weird, yeah. At least it wasn't around her neck, I guess. It says both Peggy and Luanne scramble to pick up all the bones. When they nearly had all of them collected, they were both kneeling on the floor, facing
Weird.
the opposite from each other. I just want you to follow along with me here,
Yeah,
okay?
I'm with barely, but we're hanging
They
on.
slid closer to each other until they bump each other's backs. Luanne, having suddenly not remembered, the gluing accident, felt something squishy on Peggy's back. This is a series of words that's never been said.
Squishy Peggy's back.
Luanne, to herself, says, "Uh-oh." Peggy stands up. Luanne levitates on her back, dropping all of the bones she collected. Peggy, well, not much damage was done, but, and then sudden silence.
Yeah.
Peggy begins turning around in a near panic state. Luanne, where are you? She
Yeah.
can't tell that she's on her back.
Well, yeah, that's what's weird. Yeah, Luanne, they're both spinning around. It's almost like that. Oh man, dude, where's my car skate with the tattoos on
Yeah,
their back?
yeah,
Yeah, sweet dude.
Luanne, truthfully, it says in brackets, truthfully, right here,
Everything Luanne has said before this,
it's been
is
a lie.
lie.
That's right. She says, right here, Aunt Peggy. Peggy turns her head around, only to see Luanne completely suspended to her back. Peggy, Luanne, what are you doing? It's a serious violation of my personal space. Luanne, I had a little accident with the glue. Peggy, what happened? Reaches for the glue tube, reads to herself. Warning, this glue dries on contact and is to be used for modeling purposes only. Any misuse of this product, accidental or intentional, result in serious consequences. Then she drops the tube.
Yikes.
Fearfully, she says, "Holy crap, we're stuck like this." Then the theme to the Twilight Zone plays, and Peggy screaming, and Luanne starts screaming. End of Act 1.
End of Act 1.
What do you think?
Well, so far, there's extreme amounts I don't know, extreme. That might be too wordy, but there's definitely a little too much. There you go. A little too much sexual innuendo.
It is sexually innuendoed
It's
to the
charged.
hilt. We are in Act 2 of a Peggy and Luanne episode back-to-back. Part 1, Peggy calls for help.
Okay.
Peggy, pacing the room panically. Say that 5 times fast.
Basically, Peggy,
hyperventilating. Oh, God. What are we going to do? Then she stops. Peggy reaches for the glue tube again, sees manufacturing address. Peggy says, I know. We will call them, and they will get us out of this jam. All of a sudden, Peggy's a robot. Luanne says, can't we just call Uncle Hank?
Uncle Hank? Can we call Uncle Hank?
Peggy says Hank must...
maybe, and that's why I don't think it's an English speaker. That's right there is another key that it's not somebody whose first language is English, because they hear Luanne say Uncle Hank. Mm-hmm. She doesn't say uncle. Mm-hmm. She says Uncle Hank. Yeah. It's the slang. It's the Southern draw slang.
Peggy says Hank must not, all in caps, know about this, Luanne. I made a promise to your uncle that I would not get into any trouble this weekend, like she's Lucille Ball or something, right? And says, and by God, I'm a wife who keeps her word. Okay, Peggy. Peggy pulls out the phone book, starts flipping pages. Peggy reaches modeling listings. Yeah, modeling listings.
Modeling listings.
All right. This sentence says, Peggy reaches modeling listings, fingers through, and points to the reliable source.
Okay.
Peggy reaches for the telephone and dials the number. Lady on the phone, Apex Discovery Hotline. Peggy, yes, this is Peggy Hill, and I am calling in concern for your modeling products. Lady says, how may I help you? Peggy says, listen, we had a little gluing accident just as we were beginning to put together one of your dinosaur models, and now we need help. Like it matters which model.
Yeah.
Lady says, can you describe exactly what happened? Luanne screaming, I'm glued to Aunt Peggy's back.
I'm glued to Aunt Peggy. Which is, it's still, I'm still slightly uncomfortable from the previous line about glue on her back.
Sure. Lady says, well, that's too bad. Okay, lady, thanks a lot. Appreciate your help.
Yeah, thanks for all the help.
She says, I'm sorry, ladies, but we have no adhesive antidote in stock. Oh, no, they're out of antidote. Adhesive antidote.
Adhesive antidote.
She looks at a whole shelf of antidote saying Apex Discovery is not responsible for any accidents involving modeling products. So this woman is just lying to him over the phone.
Yeah.
She has a whole shelf full of the adhesive
a whole shelf
antidote.
full of lies.
It says, it should be available at your nearest hardware store, craft shop, or your local discount store. Thank you for calling Discovery Plus Hotline. Remember, you get a 10 discount on all purchases if you're a member of Apex Discovery Educational Club. You'll be charged $1.99 for the first minute of this call and 99 cents for each additional minute. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
This is the stupidest thing ever. Peggy says, but, and then the phone hangs up. Luanne, now what are we going to do? 1 hour later, Peggy closes the phone book. She's looking through the phone book for an hour. And this guy had to tell us about it. Peggy says, well, I've called up all the craft shops, discount stores, and hardware outlets, even those in McMainerbury. Surprisingly, there's an incredibly low stock of adhesive antidote this time of year in this part of Texas.
Adhesive antidote.
Luanne says, even Megalomart?
I'm still taken aback by the adhesive antidote.
Luanne says,
how do you get it, though? Is it a shot or is it a pill?
I don't know. Luanne says, even Megalomart? And Peggy says, low prices, but low reliability.
Low reliability.
All right, part 2.
Where did you find this at?
This was at...
did you just search on Google like...
fanfictionratings.com.
Oh, wow. Fanfictionratings.com.
Your source for badly worded fan fiction.
Highly sexually charged.
Highly sexual charged glue incident.
Yeah, glue factory.
Part 2, Peggy runs errands. Another hour later, after cleaning up the living room, again, with Luanne glued to her back, Peggy gets her purse and her car keys. Luanne, but Aunt Peggy, we can't go outside looking like this. People will think we're freaks. Peggy Hill will go on with her life. Besides, you are the master of absence in this town. If you keep quiet, it will almost be like another episode where we can ignore you for no apparent reason.
Yeah, I don't speak the whatever language.
Luanne looks confused.
Twisted up.
And she says, now come on, it's time to go. Andale.
Escúchame.
Luanne remembers that she's not wearing socks or shoes, says, "But Aunt Peggy," and she yelps. Peggy heads to the car through the back door. Peggy drives the car through Arlen with Luanne squished uncomfortably behind her.
That's weird.
It is super weird, right?
Yeah, this whole...
I mean, isn't it just on her shirt?
I thought...
right?
If it was on the shirt, you'd just be able to
Just take the shirt off.
So were they...
Yeah.
I don't want to say it, but were
I
they
got you.
crafting naked?
Part 3, Science Museum.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and just gloss that.
Peggy is marveling at a dinosaur exhibit. So they've gone to the museum now, and they're looking at exhibits. Peggy says, "Will you look at that, Luanne?" Museum professor walks up and says, "Excuse me?" Peggy yells, quickly turns around. "Oh, hi," chuckles nervously. Museum professor. Is that a term? A museum professor?
A museum... I thought it was curator.
He says, "That's a mighty impressive beast, isn't it?" He doesn't say, "Why the hell do you have another woman on your back?" He says, "That's a mighty impressive beast, isn't it?" Peggy says, "I agree. I believe this is a stegosaurus."
Yeah, stegosauri.
Museum,
What is it? Hold on. What did she say? A prehistoric landmaster.
Prehistoric landmaster. Museum professor says, "So you're into dinosaurs too. What's your name?" Because she knew the word stegosaurus. Peggy says, "Peggy Hill, and if it were up to me, that would be called the Pegasaurus."
The Pegasaurus. That's... Yikes. Yeah.
Peggy says, "But seriously, I am actually a biology teacher at Tom Landry Middle School. Besides, I joined the Apex Discovery Educational Models Club since my last visit here."
That's funny.
Museum professor says, nods head in interest. Peggy, "In my opinion, dinosaurs were created by God."
Oh, wow.
As Peggy continues
now.
As Peggy continues speaking, the professor notices something behind Peggy's back. He sees Luanne's head creeping over Peggy's shoulder. The professor raises an eyebrow. Luanne creeps back down halfway, revealing an innocent look in her eyes. Peggy, "But I guess there were no stopping the riveting mammals from the raging apostles."
Wow. This got crazy. This got crazy, Mike.
The museum
This is
professor.
absurd.
The museum professor clears his throat and he says, "Oh, look at the time." And he leads Peggy to the exit. "Sorry, we can't continue this engaging conversation, but thanks again for visiting the Heimlich County Science Museum."
The Heimlich County Science Museum.
Peggy's, okay, so we'll be discussing this later then. Museum professor, "Yes, much later." Spins his finger around his ear when Peggy turns back like she's nuts.
Yeah.
Part 4, Jack's Barber Shop.
Okay.
Luanne is cutting a customer's hair while Peggy looks into the mirror.
Peggy looking in a mirror?
Well, what I'm saying is they're still glued together. Luanne's cutting somebody's hair.
Yeah.
Peggy peeks at the back of the customer's head. She then turns around. Luanne gasps, "Aunt Peggy, what are you doing?" Peggy, "I was just observing your job, and I have decided that you are not cutting this man's hair as well as you should be." She grabs Luanne's shears. Luanne, "But..." Peggy, trust me, Luanne, I know what I'm doing." Luanne sighs repeatedly as Peggy proceeds to cut the customer's hair.
Because she knows that Peggy is notorious for acting like she knows how to do something, but doesn't know how to do anything.
Yeah.
Very well, anyway. She can't do stuff.
We didn't need that scene at all.
No, we didn't.
Part 5, Peggy and Luanne go to bed. This might get weird. It says, that night, Peggy and Luanne sleep on the couch.
It is definitely, this scene is about to be
It was a full moon.
questionable.
Peggy removed her shoes near the couch and placed her glasses on the coffee
Imagine that
table.
smell.
Luanne puts her hair bow on the coffee table. I'm just hearing like...
Yeah.
Peggy faced outward on the couch while Luanne faced inward. Peggy had her pillow and blanket all to herself, and the chilly air made Luanne cold. Peggy snoring. Luanne, "Aunt Peggy, Aunt Peggy." Peggy continues snoring. Luanne, "Aunt Peggy, could you give me some of your blanket? It's cold back here." Peggy continues snoring. Luanne bundles her arms together, shivering, cringes at Peggy's loud snoring. As Peggy continues snoring, the crickets are chirping outside the calm summery night.
Bwaaa trucks fight all through the night, deep in the heart of Texas.
Part 6, Peggy runs errands too. The next day, a Saturday, Peggy sets off to do more errands. She was feeling a little more downbeat than the previous day. I don't know why that makes a difference. Peggy, well, I'm off to the store. Hopefully I can have someone else talk to besides the wart on my back. She's calling Luanne a wart. Luanne says, Aunt Peggy.
A big wart at that.
Aunt Peggy, can I just grab my shoes first? Wriggles her toes. My toes are feeling a bit insecure. Peggy, well, you should have thought of that.
Insecure toes?
Yeah. She said you should have thought of that before you got us stuck together. It's not fun when your own mistakes come back to haunt you, huh? Peggy walks towards the car. Peggy drives in her car with Luanne squished behind her again. Peggy, Luanne, please stop wriggling around. I cannot drive while you're squirming like a worm. Luanne, muffled. Peggy could breathe her. Peggy, yeah, we'll stop for some ice cream on our way home, you freaking job. I don't know.
Job?
Peggy continues
Maybe because there are some biblical references. Maybe it was Job.
I don't know. Oh, no,
Calling
she's
him a
saying we're going to your job, I guess is what she's saying.
I got you.
Peggy, it's Nancy and Min. She whispers, just let me do all the
Are
talking.
they hanging out together? Like riding around?
I guess. She said, just let me do all the talking. Maybe they will not notice you. They'll not notice the full-size woman glued to my back. Min calling, hey, Peggy Hillbilly, over here. Nancy turns around. Peggy walks over. Nancy, hey, Shug. Peggy, calm. Hello, Nancy. Hello, Min. It's nice to see you girls. Nancy, indeed, swipes her hair. So what's up, Shug? Peggy, well, I've officially started my vacation this weekend. I got a whole summer ahead to prepare for our entrance into the biology profession next year.
Entrance into the biology profession.
Min, biology, one of Connie's best subjects. Peggy, yes, your daughter is one of our best students. But enough about me. Let's talk about you. Nancy looks into her pocket mirror and says, well, Shug, things couldn't be better at Channel 84 right now. We're preparing for the annual Taste of Ireland next weekend. I have a booth next to Sugarfoot's. Nancy giggles excitedly, puts away mirror.
Next to Sugarfoot's.
This is Nancy Hicks Gribble. Back to you, Peg.
That's cringe.
Again.
That was cringe.
What about Luanne on your back? Peggy, oh, well, chuckles nervously. How about you, Min? Min, oh, same as usual. My con got a pay raise at work the other day. I also work more on my garden. There's a special type of Laotian flower that I'm cultivating for upcoming contest at Arlen Botanical Gardens. Peggy, Min, by the way, Peggy, we are still on for our boggle game at your house tomorrow. Peggy nervously, sure, you better watch out. Peggy Hill, professional boggle champ, will give you no less than 113. What does that mean?
I don't know. Say it one more time.
Peggy Hill, professional boggle champ, will give you no less than 113.
Oh, numbers. Or
is that
words.
The highest score?
I guess.
I don't know. She clutches her fist half-heartedly.
That's a lot of words.
Oh, yeah.
133 words off a boggle board is a lot. 113, is a lot.
Min and Nancy shift their eyes towards each other smugly. Peggy, still nervous. Well, girls, I must be going. Walk past them, quickly turn around. I just need to see if they have my kind of deodorant. Discreet, unscented. Nancy, later, Shug. Min, ciao. When does Min say ciao?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That might be a little ignorance from the writer.
She then walks over to the other side of the shelf and begins counting cosmetic kits instead of deodorant. A passerby notices Luanne suspended on Peggy's back. Finally, someone sees it. Yeah. Min and Nancy look on. Min, poor Peggy Hillbilly. She's so distracted she didn't know she got blonde girl stuck on her back. Nancy, kind of makes you feel sorry for him, doesn't it, Shug? Min, Peggy, such a pompous windbag. I feel sorry for blonde girl. Nancy, same here, Shug. Both giggle to themselves.
That was weird.
All right.
Such a weird exchange.
Part 8, Jack's Barbershop 2. Later that afternoon, Peggy and Luanne approached the front entrance at Jack's Barbershop. Peggy, that was the best lunch I've had in a while. They're just going about their business while they're stuck together. They haven't even tried to do anything.
They haven't even tried to do anything at all. Well, that's what's the antidote. That's what's weird about this whole fan fiction is that they just there's no resolution. They're not trying to resolve their problem. They're just walking around stuck to each other like idiots.
Peggy, that's the best lunch I've had in a while. Luanne, but I wanted ketchup on my fries, and I wanted fruit salad, not fries. She wanted ketchup on her fries, and she wanted fruit salad, not fries. Peggy, I wanted relish on my hot dog, but you did not see me complaining about it, huh? Connie happens along on her bicycle. Connie, hey, Luanne, what's up? Luanne, well, not much. Connie notices Luanne's problem. Yikes, what happened to you? Luanne, twiddling her fingers, we had a little accident yesterday. Connie, gee, that sucks. So, are we still on for this weekend? Luanne, I don't know, Connie. I'm kind of in a pickle
Why would
here.
Connie even ask that?
It's so stupid. We're kind of in a pickle here. Connie, well, I better be going. Have fun at work and good luck. And then she whispers to herself, you'll need it. Connie rides off as Peggy and Luanne enter the barber shop.
Okay.
We only have one more act to go here.
No, we're good.
If anybody
this is great.
If anybody's worried about what's going to happen with,
I hope
Peggy,
you guys are enjoying it because I kind of like this. This is funny.
great. This is wonderful. Peggy looks through the mirror. She turns around. Luanne drops a comb. Peggy, once again, you failed to cut hair professionally. That's where I come in. She grabs Luanne's shears and begins cutting hair. Luanne growls, then turns back. Peggy drops shears. Luanne, back off, Aunt Peggy. This is my job. Peggy gasps. How dare you? Nobody speaks to Peggy Hill in that manner and gets away with it. Turns back, continues cutting. Luanne turns back. I can cut hair. I'm not stupid. Nobody called you stupid, Luanne.
Nobody called you dumb.
Peggy turns back. Escúchame, young lady, but I have been cutting hair longer than you have. Luanne, you've only cut Bobby's hair all these years. I've cut millions of people's hair. Millions, she says.
Millions.
Turns back. Peggy turns back. Well, it's never too late to do something right, Luanne growls. Peggy and Luanne struggling. Peggy struggling. If you would just let me show you. Luanne straining. I don't need your help. Big chunks of hair fall to the ground during the fight as a customer frets. Luanne turns back to the front and clings tightly to the chair. Peggy struggles, then gives up. Both of their hair were ruined during the scuffle. Luanne, okay, sir, you're all done, hands him the mirror. Customer screams. His hair is completely botched. Customer, crying now, says, what have you done to my beautiful hair? It's ruined. Peggy, I told her she should have done it my way. Customer points to Luanne. You are going to pay for this, for that. No tip. Customer walking out the barber shop. Jack standing by the exit with arms crossed. Jack walks over to Luanne and says, Luanne, we need to talk. You're a great hairstylist. In fact, the best I've ever had, which is why I want you, points at Luanne, not that, and points at Peggy in the mirror. Peggy, what the hell are you staring at? Jack says, I gave you a shot yesterday, but until you get your family matters under control, you are suspended. And he walks off, and then Luanne and Peggy glare at each other, then ignore each other.
That's
End of Act 2.
That's something else.
What do you think?
Are
you riveted?
I don't even want to use any weird terms, riveted or any of those kind of. I don't know what I am.
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
It feels weird, right?
Yeah, I feel really weird after that, but it's cool. I like the fan fiction. I like weird fan fiction like that. There's a lot of it out there.
All right, here we go. Act 3.
Act 3.
Part 1. Act 3 of the final act, I do believe. Part 1. Peggy apologizes. Peggy and Luanne are lying on the couch, ignoring each other. The cold air still gives Luanne the chills, and Peggy hops up on the pillow and blanket. Peggy is frowning to herself, and then she starts thinking, and slowly she begins to feel regretful. Peggy, Luanne, honey, are you awake? Luanne, shivering, yes. Peggy, Luanne, I've been thinking about this weekend. We both got ourselves in a situation that has affected us tremendously. Now, I am not the one to hold a grudge. Just wanted to say that. I forgive you. Luanne stopped shivering. I know you did not mean to bond us together like this. I made a promise to your uncle that we would not get into any trouble this weekend, Lucille Ball. And we both broke that promise, and I'm willing to make a fresh start first thing tomorrow. Luanne, in her diary, says it was then that I knew she was just saying sorry in her own way. To Peggy, regretfully, I'm sorry, Aunt Peggy. Peggy, I'm sure you are. Now let's get some shut-eye and start behaving like civilized platter women we are, huh? Luanne, yes, but first, could you give me some of your blanket? My toes are freezing. She scrunches up her toes again. Again, I think we're into a foot fetish kind of thing.
Yeah, I think the guy might have a foot fetish as much as he talks about feet.
And she says, Aunt Peggy, and Peggy is already snoring. So, part 2, Peggy and Luanne wake up.
Oh, wow.
Okay, next morning, a Sunday, like it matters.
Okay.
Peggy puts her shoes and glasses on. Luanne ties her hair bow together. Peggy, well, it is the last leg of the weekend, and we are still pasted like the wasted.
Pasted? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm making waffles. Do you want some? Luanne says, yes, please. Like she has any choice.
She doesn't really have much of a choice at all. There's no choice in this scenario.
All right, here we go. Part 3, Connie's glue situation.
Oh, Connie has a good situation now.
Later that day, Connie comes over to the Hills residence. Doorbell rings. Peggy answers. Connie, hi, Mrs. Hill. Hey, Luanne. Peggy and Luanne, wearily. Hi, Connie. Connie, I think I found the solution to your problem. Shows a can of adhesive dissolvent.
Is that the
Adhesive dissolvent.
Is that the antidote?
Adhesive dissolvent.
Whatever that is.
Peggy, surprised. My God, we've been looking everywhere for that. Where did you get it? Connie, I had some left over from last year's science project on the solar system. They saw her like 2 days ago.
Yeah, that was it. Just 2 days ago.
She says, which I won. I was borrowing some bouncy balls to represent the sun and planets. And the group heads over to the living room. Connie, reading instructions. Okay, make sure the adhesive is stored at room temperature. She asked Peggy, is it, Mrs. Hill? Peggy, eagerly, yes, go on. Connie, instructions, spray directly onto adhesive, make sure the model stays perfectly still. And then she asks them, are you guys ready? Peggy says, let her rip. Connie sprays the adhesive dissolvent. Luanne says, now what? Connie, instructions, the glue will completely dissolve within 2 hours. 2 hours. Says, you guys want to watch some TV?
Not much of a choice.
They get sprayed down with the thing, and she says, you want to watch some TV. Peggy and Luanne say, okay, sure. Nearly 2 hours later, Connie is sitting on the couch. Peggy and Luanne are standing next to the couch, all watching Monsignor Martinez. Connie looks at the living room clock. Connie, well, it should be at least 2 hours, Mrs. Hill. Peggy, well, since time is almost near, I'll go fix us some lunch. She walks off to the kitchen. Connie continues watching TV. Peggy pours some water into a glass, has sandwich and drinks all prepared on a food tray. Peggy walks back in the living room. The glue officially begins to wear off. Peggy, okay, I got the sandwiches. Glue breaks. Luanne screams when she falls off Peggy's back and thuds onto the ground.
Is she that much taller than her? Like, that's kind of weird.
She's tiny. Connie, it worked. You guys are finally free. Luanne, ached. Thank God. Peggy, and just in time for me to get ready for my boggle game with the girls. Yes! Jumps happily.
Boggle game with the girls.
I just want you to, this is.
Make me uncomfortable, please.
It says, boggle game with the girls. Yes! All in caps. And then it says in parentheses, jumps happily, bone cracks.
Okay.
Ow! Limps away with ached back. Luanne, having been suspend for 48 hours, has trouble getting up. She gets up and spreads her arms and legs slowly. Connie, so Luanne, now that you're free, you want to hang out?
Yeah.
Luanne, fatigued. Sure thing, Connie. I just need to finish doing some stretches. Walks towards her room, then stumbles on the rug, falling near Connie's feet, and she dies. No, that doesn't say that.
No.
Connie, we can just stay here if that's better for you. Luanne, no problem. Gives her a sheepish grin. All right, part 4, boggle game. Doorbell rings. Peggy answers. Men, hey, Peggy Hillbilly. Peggy, stop calling me that. Nancy, we're ready for your boggle game, Shug. Men, and we will be more than honored if your rear viewer could join us. Both women giggle. Come on, Peggy, show us your new appendage. Peggy, well, ladies, turns around. Take a good look. Men and Nancy stop giggling. Peggy, Peggy,
Nancy.
That's right. You'll find that my new appendage was removed a tad earlier than expected. Men and Nancy shift their eyes towards each other smugly. Why are they holding this over her head? Like it's,
I don't know.
You know, it's just so weird.
It's really, really weird.
Peggy, okay, girls, get ready to play boggle. Peggy Hill style. Men and Nancy roll their eyes in disgust. Peggy rattles letterbox. Peggy slams box on the table. Oh, yeah. Women write down their words under the timing of the hourglass. Peggy, okay, girls, add them up. Men, 17 words. Nancy, 12 shugs. Peggy, oh, dear, I only have 3. Triumphantly, 24 words. What? Chuckles arrogantly. Men and Nancy gasp. I told you ninnies to put on your best game. She said, round 2. Peggy rattles letterbox with a smirk. Men and Nancy groan. All right, part 5, hair talk.
Part 5, hair talk.
Why do we even need all that?
I don't know.
You don't need
all
all
that.
that.
You don't need half of what he's.
God.
I don't know that we need any of it.
They sit and look at the carpet, and it's that kind of thing. They watch paint dry. Okay, part 5, hair talk. Luanne and Connie spend time together in Luanne's room. Luanne combing Connie's hair. Connie reading a magazine. Weird. Luanne, weird. It was awful. We did all these boring things. I ate a lot of food I didn't like. I kept getting squeezed into cold, tight spaces, and everybody around town was looking at me like some kind of freak. Finishes combing Connie's hair. And Connie. And what? Luanne. And Aunt Peggy got me suspended from my job. Releases Connie's hair. Connie, great, Luanne. That's terrible. Or gee, Luanne, sorry. Gee, Luanne, that's terrible. Luanne sprays Connie's hair. Whew. Connie looks in the mirror at herself. Connie, wow, that looks perfect. Thanks a lot. I'm still having a problem living in this world where Connie and Luanne are hanging out.
Yeah, I do too. It's weird.
Okay.
It's really weird. It makes me. I don't know. I wonder. Well, I guess we'll find out. I guess we'll find out if they ever really do hang out in the show, like just one-on-one. Because I don't know if they ever do.
I don't think they do. Again,
but there's a lot of things that I didn't think have happened that have happened.
It's
so
such a huge age
I haven't
difference,
really vocalized it, but there's a lot of episodes that I've went back and seen now since we were doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff that I've missed.
And so she says, gee, Luanne, that's terrible. Luanne sprays Connie's hair. Connie looks in the mirror at herself. Connie, wow, that looks perfect. Thanks a lot. Luanne, quivering, says you're welcome, and she starts to cry. Connie puts a hand on her shoulder. Oh, don't cry, Luanne. It's not your fault. They begin to kiss. No, it doesn't say that. You're the best hairstylist in Arlen. It'll all go away before you know it. Luanne, suppressing her cry. You mean it? Connie, absolutely. Luanne, thanks. Connie wipes tear from her eye. Don't mention it. Fixes Luanne's hair bow. That's what friends are for. Both cuddle, and Luanne sighs contently.
Oh, that's a little weird.
Part 6, Boggle Game 2. Peggy rattling letterbox and slams it on the table. Women write down their words under the timing of the hourglass. Peggy, okay, count them up. Men, bored. 13. Nancy yawns. 8 shugs. Peggy, well, what do you know? Shouts, I got 49 words. She's kind of a jackass in this. Peggy laughing hysterically as Men and Nancy stare at each other with fatigue. Nancy, shug, maybe we better call it a day. Men, yeah, at this rate, you find every word in the dictionary. You already pick up a few Laotian terms in the past 30 rounds. 30. Peggy wags her finger at him and says, you girls cannot back out on me now, starts rattling the letterbox. We have not even gotten to the lightning round. Nancy slams her hand on the table. Says, shug, just drop it. You win. We quit. Why did she even go over there? Because they know how this is going to turn out.
They know it's going to turn out bad.
Men says, I go home before you boggle our brains, silly. Men accompanies Nancy to the door. Under her breath, stupid redneck. Peggy, fine. I do not need you losers. I can have plenty of fun playing boggle by myself. Women slam doors shut. Peggy sits at table for a few seconds tapping the pencil, humming to herself, clock ticking. To herself, she says, well, this is fun. Then she pauses. She gets up out of the chair. I'm just going to finish my dinosaur models now. And then she walks off into the living room.
Her prehistoric landmasters. I still think that's hilarious.
All right, part 7, video game. This is the penultimate part. Connie and Luanne playing the Columns video game in Body's room. Do we know what that is? Columns video game?
Oh yeah, that is a video game. So on Sega, they had a game called Columns, and what it was one of those Tetris-like games, but with gems. So you would have like orange gems and blue gems, and they all had their own shape.
Well, Connie and Luanne are sitting in Bobby's room playing it for some reason. Connie plays more diligently. Luanne gets confused. Connie's final columns disappear as Luanne's pile up. The game ends. Connie types her initials into the high score rankings. Luanne, gosh, Connie, I thought you hated video games. Connie, nah, Columns is an old-time favorite. Is this like product placement? Columns is an old-time favorite. I happen to like games that exercise the mind. Besides, just between the two of us, I could whoop Bobby's ass at it any day of the week. Yikes. Connie and Luanne share a giggle. Men calling from her house. Connie, time to come home. Connie, well, Luanne, I had fun. I'll see you later. Both give each other a big hug.
A big hug.
The flashback ends. Part 8, the final part. Luanne goes to bed.
It's so weird.
Goofy. Luanne from her diary. After that, I finally helped Aunt Peggy finish her dinosaur model. She took all the credit as usual. On the first weekend of summer, it was the weirdest weekend in my whole life. I should be returning to Mr. Jack's later this week. As for Connie, she's a lifesaver and a true friend. She closes the diary. Luanne turns off the light and goes to bed. She snuggles with her favorite teddy bear. Oh, I was wrong. I'm sorry. Part 9. Hank and it's a Hank and Peggy combo. Hank and Peggy's intimate moment. You ready?
Ooh, not really, but here we go. Let's go, guys. The intimate moment.
This is it. We've only got a few lines left here.
The intimate moment.
Hank and Peggy in bed. Hank takes his socks off. Hank.
Ooh.
And then after the bear had Dale cornered, Joseph crept up and tackled the hell out of it. That son of a bitch was gone faster than a propane discount. He takes off his glasses. I never thought I'd see a bear fight in person, let alone that thrilling. So how was your weekend? Peggy takes off her glasses. Well, Luanne and I had a great time. In fact, if you did not know any better, which I'm sure you do not, you could say we were joined at the hip. Hank says, what's that supposed to mean? Peggy says, nothing, honey. You wouldn't understand. It's a girl thing. Hank, but you remember to keep your promise, didn't you? Peggy wraps her arms around Hank. Hank, just shut up and kiss me. Hank and Peggy kissing each other warmly, both sink under the covers, and Peggy says, oh, yeah. The end.
Well, Mike, that was an experience.
Did you enjoy that?
I hope
Yeah,
all
it's
of
great.
you enjoyed that as well. Yeah, I kind of like that. That was different.
Yeah.
That was something very different.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look up. I might have to find my own fan fiction. Friday fan fiction. I'm gonna have to look up some fan fiction. That was crazy.
Nuts. So that is a Peggy and Luanne episode, back to back fan fiction. Hope you enjoyed that.
Hope you guys liked the fan fiction, or at least got through it. And if you didn't get through it,
well, it was nice knowing
you're not
you.
hearing anything I'm saying right now, so that doesn't really matter. But we do appreciate everybody that's
Absolutely.
checked out our podcast over the last few months of us doing this. We're not quite at a year, but we're well past the half a year mark, and man, it's picking up.
Yeah, it really
it's
is.
picking up.
I really want to thank everybody. I want to tell you if you
I have
want
some actual personal thank yous that I have to give. So we were fact checked on something by somebody other than our regular fact checker, Artie. So thanks, Artie, for the last episode. I forgot to thank him for last episode's trivia because most of the trivia I used was from him. So I want to thank him for that. And I want to thank Pippin the Sheltie on Instagram. I was called out. It was actually something that I had said that got called out, where I'd said that Peggy doesn't use contractions. She always says do not, will not, instead of won't, won't, can't, don't. I got proved that maybe just in that one episode she doesn't use contractions.
Oh, really?
But it was the episode where she said my mom didn't let me use contractions. That was like 2 episodes ago, I think, for us.
I remember that. Sure.
And I was called out on that by Pippin the Sheltie on Instagram. So I just want to make sure they got their shout out. And then I had another
Pippin the
shout
Sheltie?
out.
Is that what you said?
Pippin the Sheltie. Yes.
Pippin the Sheltie. All right.
And then there was another one on Instagram.
Go Pippin. You're a Sheltie.
Youth vile underscore Fontaine.
Okay.
Dogdale afternoon is so goddamn good. That's what he says. That's his favorite episode. His, her, it doesn't. Oh, their. Yeah. Their favorite episode is Dogdale Afternoon.
Dogdale Afternoon.
And I told them that I would shout that out. So there you go. That's your
Say
shout
that one
out.
more time. What's the handle?
The handle is vile underscore Fontaine, like Vince Fontaine.
Vile
but
underscore
Fontaine.
Fontaine.
So thank you. Appreciate that.
Great.
And thank you, everybody else, too.
Man.
Thank
I love
you,
the shout-outs.
Yeah, I like the shout-outs, too. And I really like all the interaction we're getting. I'm sorry I'm spamming everybody on Twitter. Anybody that types in King of the Hill on Twitter has probably heard or seen me out there. So y'all keep seeing me. Y'all share some stuff for us. Follow some stuff. You can find us at BWAAAKOTH on Twitter, Instagram.
Everywhere.
And TikTok and everywhere.
At your local grocery store.
At your local grocery store.
Sure.
On aisle 10.
What are dinosaurs
Wherever
called?
you get your podcasts. Oh, what was it again? Prehistoric Landmasters.
Prehistoric Landmasters.
Wimatanye.
Wimatanye. Bye.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.